For the last couple of years, we've done a video on 10 ways to disrupt your contact center. We've kind of updated it every year. So I want to give my 2020 10 ways to disrupt your contact center. Number one is, if you guys follow me at all, you know that I'm huge on this, is disrupt your metrics. If you're still living in that ASA, AHT, SLA world, right? Handle time, average speed of answer, service level, those telephony metrics, super important. But understand, all they're really telling you is how efficient your contact center is. They have nothing to do with the actual customer journey, the customer experience. So what we want to do is bring in new metrics. We want to look at speech analytics. We want to look at sentiment scores. We want to actually look at the experience that we're giving the customer. Really important. If you can't get into speech analytics, then start to get into CSAT surveys, get into your NPS surveys. Make sure that you're kind of putting all those together. That's the new definition of a world-class center, not just seeing how efficient we are. Number two, disrupt your contact center culture. And I would say redefine your culture, but I would guess most of you out there can't even define what your culture is. So let's start with defining what our culture is, defining the type of individuals that we're looking for, define the type of environment we want to work in, define the type of way that we want to interact with our customers. We talk about it at Expedia, my company. For an example, our culture is a sunshine attitude with an entrepreneurial mindset. That boils down to attitude and effort. So we're hiring, we're incenting, and we're promoting off of those two pillars of attitude and effort. So ask yourself, what is our culture? What do we stand for? What are we trying to really do in our contact center? And if you can't, sit down with your team, and I would say define or at least redefine your culture here in 2020. The third thing that you can disrupt in your contact center is your education. Take a look at it. How are you onboarding? Are you losing people in the first 90 days? What are some techniques that you can do that are different? Whether it's a week of education, then some classroom training, then some incubation training on the or kind of that nesting area. How do they come out on the floor? Are they introduced? Do they know where they're going? Do they know their team? Do you meet with them periodically in that first 90 days? What are you doing from ongoing education? Are you doing any type of weekly education with your associates? And then, look at your management team. Looking at a management trainee program, something that you can even give them. It's very basic. That if you're meeting with them once a week on just techniques and things that they can do to really improve themselves in the contact center. So again, look at your education. Looking to disrupt that education system that maybe you have that maybe is failing a little bit. To kind of go on with our disrupting our KPIs, we want to talk about our fourth way to disrupt, and that's to disrupt your QA process. This can be a little bit more difficult, but many of you out there right now are just kind of, you're hunting, right? You're hunting for mistakes. You're looking, and you have that, right? You have that algorithm. We call it an algorithm, right? Which is basically just, we listen to 3 reps per week and we score them. Let's take that to the next level. One of the things that we've really done here at Expedia, and we've really redefined ourselves, is using speech analytics as a QA tool. So no longer are we trying to find mistakes, we're trying to correct the mistakes. So the QA process is now done a lot from the listening standpoint by speech analytics. Now we program the heck out of it. We set all these different categories up and make sure that we're looking at sentiment scores, and we can actually tell when a customer comes in happy or has a positive sentiment, and maybe we turn them the wrong way to a negative sentiment call, and why did that happen? And those are the types of calls now that we're looking at. So instead of just trying to, I hope I find Susie making a mistake today, we're looking way beyond that, using the technology of today to not only find mistakes, but also find out where there's kind of a hitch in the giddy up of the customer journey. And that's a huge part of the QA process. So really look at that from a technology standpoint. It's not that expensive. There's a ton of information out there that you can really that you can use to fix some of that. Number 5 is disrupt your workspace. Are you guys having fun? Does your call center stink? Is it boring? Is it hard to get through the day in it? I would mandate all of you have a game on every single team in your rooms, going on at all times. Whether that's team versus team, whether it's individuals, whether it's room versus room, however your contact center is set up, make sure that there's something going on every single day that's fun. Understand that the call center is not finance. It's not HR. It's not this stoic place. It can be fun no matter what your contact center is doing, whether it's financial services, healthcare, retail, whether you're a startup, you can have fun there no matter what type of work that you're doing. And I would say it's not only something you should do, it's something you must do to make sure that your turnover and make sure that those metrics stay in line as well. So again, look at that. Look at the actual physical space and the physical time that the reps are having there. Number 6 is look to disrupt the start of your day. I'm huge on this, right? Controlling the first 30 minutes of the shift. So set some protocols where every single associate is greeted. High five, handshake, whatever you guys want to do. You talk about yesterday. You talk about the team goals for the day, things that we're going to focus on. And then you take 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, it doesn't matter, but you take individual time with an associate, every single associate on your team, and you focus on the goals for the day. What are you really going to focus on? What are some of the things that you want to make sure that they're getting better at from a KPI standpoint, from a quality standpoint? That first 30 minutes is so vitally important that you can't let it just go, right? That sets the table for the whole day. There's some of the other things in the first 30 minutes. We're going to talk about the game that we're going to play. We're going to talk about any type of program changes or things that we want to look for, right? So again, ton of blog posts that we have on it. There's just like 3 or 4. I did a whole podcast episode on it. Check out the starting the day the right way in your call center. It's one of the best tips I can give you for kind of really enhancing how well your contact center works on a day-to-day. All right, number 7 and number 8 I'm going to kind of put together, right? And it's stop forcing self-service and really look at doing self-service the right way. So we got to stop forcing self-service and single channels, right? So forcing it, right? It's a great channel, but I will go out and venture to say if you're only doing email, chat, and voice now, you're behind, right? The digital wave is here. The digital channels are here: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Those are really, really vital. Who knows what's going to be important? WeChat, WhatsApp, right? Depending on how global you are. All those things need to be answered, talked to, serviced, just as much as those 3 kind of legacy type channels. A lot of you aren't even doing that, right? A lot of you are forcing self-service. You're forcing some type of knowledge management system, and then shoot me an email and I'll get back to you within a day or 2, right? That's awful. It doesn't have to happen. And if that's your model, outsource. But again, doing self-service the right way, making it a tool, not the go-to. That's the most important thing. It's vitally important that in today's age, you guys are, I'm not saying you got to be full omni-channel with, being able to take multiple channels, make outbound, inbound. I'm not saying you got to do that. But you can't just tell your customers what way to focus. Really, really important. Start to look at the digital channels as well. I guarantee my 2021 Disrupt is going to be, you better have a digital plan for customer support. All right, number 9 is disrupt what you have, right? And this was on last year's too, but so many of us, whether you're using Nice and Contact, 5.9, Genesis, any of those, an Avaya switch, we use 20%, 30% of the technology that it can do. And that's even on the call center floor. So I'm not talking about programming stuff, right? We have to make sure that every single person understands, all the concepts and all the tools that it comes into. I always give the example of when I go to the Nice and Contact show, one of the greatest tools that Nice and Contact has is called workforce intelligence, where you can set up rules, right, based on service level, based on handle time. So if a certain service level goes to X, we can pull in reserve agents to get it to a certain specific service level, and then they can go back. If you have new reps on the phone and their handle time goes to Y, right, we can lower their skill, lower their preference. A really cool tool, always evolving. No one knows about it, right? So I'm like the evangelist for that tool. Evangelist in my call center and an evangelist there. So again, take a peek at what you're doing there from the technology that you already have. And then last but not least, I think it's really cool to engage, number 10, engage your associates on a leadership level. So make sure that if you do have leaders, every call center has leaders, that you get them on some type of committee, you get them on some type of level where they're talking, a round table where they can discuss issues that are going on in the call center. where you can give them a little bit of extra love. Anytime that you have new headsets, anytime that you have new chairs, go to that group, get their buy-in. It's going to save you a ton of problems. So really, really, value the leadership team that you have on your floor, not even from the management level, but from that associate level, from a tenure, and also from those guys who are doing a great job that everybody looks up to. So that's my 10 ways to disrupt your contact center in 2020. Really take a look at the operation. There's a lot of easy things that you can do that can make a huge difference in your contact center.